Jeff has supreme power. He decides what stays and what goes.
He is the Senate.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Hey guys, what's up?
Jeff's back.
I'm back here.
Hey, Jeff's back.
We found him wandering the streets, sad and hungry, cold.
And you're tuned into our new podcast that's all about Star Wars. Jedi, Misa hardly knew her.
Oh, that was awful.
That was
that
really
reminds
bad.
me, at work, we were doing, we do these like monthly culture things where we just get together and drink and play games and stuff with our coworkers. And May's theme was on May 4th, so it was May the 4th be with you. And we played Pictionary a lot.
And also with you.
That's the Catholic thing, man. And we play Pictionary a lot, and normally I kick ass at Pictionary. But how do you fucking draw Tatooine?
It just draw a bunch of sand.
Well, 7/8 of the people there had never seen a single Star Wars movie.
Oh my god. How
Yeah.
do you work there?
It's insurance. Like,
No.
it's not like I work at an IT company. No, it was a difficult moment for me.
Oh god, no.
What?
Sorry, my inner fat kid's coming out, and I'm eating double stuffed Oreos while we're doing the podcast, and I just got cream all over me.
Oh,
Say
Garrett,
it slower.
I just dropped cream all over myself.
Yeah, but double stuffed Oreos are the best.
They are. Wait, there's other versions?
No. Golden Oreos.
Oh, I love golden Oreos too.
Anyway, hey
Hey.
everyone, my name's Garrett.
I'm Emily.
I'm Jeff.
This is our podcast.
We talk about tutors sometimes.
Occasionally.
About 75% of our podcast is tutors. The rest of it is just us.
It's just us. You're our friends.
I'd say about 50-50.
Yeah, actually, that's probably right.
65.
So while I was editing last week's episode that I was not on, I was really tempted to just like edit myself in talking. Just like add little clips of me like responding to you guys, but not like say
I think
anything
that would've been
acknowledging I was
funny.
not there.
His voice.
I think people actually looking for a historical podcast, A, shouldn't be listening to us in the first place, and B, would not appreciate that.
Nope.
No.
But I would love it because
I would have laughed.
really this whole podcast is just to make me, Jeff, and Emily happy.
I say we're a very,
really
very,
is.
very silly podcast.
Well, my sister Madeline texted me the other day and she goes, "Do you have any funny history podcasts?" And I was going to tell her to listen to ours, but I was like, no, go listen to Queen's podcast. Go
How
listen
many
to
times
that
have you
one.
slagged off of your family, though, on the podcast?
What?
How many times have you slagged off your family on the podcast? Like, talk shit.
Not a ton.
Not really. It's just what we talk about, not be
I just don't
appropriate to
want
her family.
my family to hear about you masturbating.
Yeah, that's true. And then she listens to Queens. They're like, hey, go listen to Emily Simpson's podcast. Dude, I hardly know her.
Shit, you're
She
right.
has a sister named Madeline.
How do they know so much?
I've heard she's a bitch.
Your sister's like, wait a second. Something's not adding up, right?
I'm confused.
Anyway.
So it's good to have you back, Jeff.
Good to be back.
It's not the same without you.
Yeah, I know. Less
I'm
beardy.
really excited for this episode, guys.
Really?
Ooh, what are we talking
Yeah.
about?
Well, it's not the episode we're talking about. That I mean, I am excited to talk about that, but there was a Lifetime movie on called Harry and Meghan, a royal romance or something like that, and it's all about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's relationship. So I tweeted out on our page the other day, I'm kind of thinking of watching it, and I got a couple people who were like, do it, just do it.
Do it.
I would have, but we were out really late for Mother's Day last night, and I didn't have the chance to watch it. However, BuzzFeed has compiled two very helpful lists. One is the best tweets about the movie, and two is some ladies' reactions throughout the movie as it's happening. So I am going to recap the movie, even though I've never seen it. I haven't even seen a trailer, based purely off of tweets and BuzzFeed.
This is what we're doing?
This, not the whole episode, just the beginning.
Okay, I thought like Emily, we're really scraping the bottom of the
No,
barrel here.
No, it's just the beginning.
Recapping movies we haven't seen about subjects that aren't about the Tudors.
No. This is just the beginning, and it's only because I tweeted about it the other day.
Okay, this is the prologue to the actual
This is the prologue, so if you don't want to listen, fast forward like 10 minutes or so.
If you don't want spoilers as to whether or not Harry and Meghan are going to get married,
Don't watch the
Don't
wedding on
listen.
Saturday. Okay, are you guys ready?
yes.
So the movie starts with the funeral.
Fade in.
Fade in.
Fade in. It's
2 weeks earlier.
80-year-old Meghan Markle.
So
It's all black and white. She's holding yellow flowers.
Even
Shooks
though
the
it's-
camera says, "You're probably wondering how I got here."
no, so it starts at a funeral.
Harry's dead.
So it starts at a funeral, and it's the funeral of Princess Diana. So
Oh, shit.
Harry would have been about 12. And then a lion somehow comes into play.
What?
I don't know. This lion comes into play like 3 times in the movie.
God, too bad this is not a video podcast
I know.
because I just want our reactions as we're hearing this.
I know. So they're at the funeral. Diana is dead. The world is in mourning. Harry has lost his mother. He is heartbroken. A lion comes out from behind the casket
At least it wasn't the casket itself.
and places his paw on Harry's shoulder and says, there, son. You'll find some true love someday.
Was this Aslan from Narnia?
It was Aslan from Narnia.
Liam Neeson.
Allegory Jesus lion appears. Okay. Fast forward. Harry is now an adult. And Charles, the Prince of Wales, who's a douche canoe, is giving him shit because of some of his escapades. I am guessing that those escapades were the ones where Harry was dressed up in a Nazi uniform. Did you guys ever hear about that?
Oh shit! Yeah, that did happen.
I'm going to guess that those are the escapades Charles was upset about. And he is like, you shouldn't really do this stuff. And Harry's like, Dad, I'm a young partier guy.
I can dress like I'm a Nazi if I want to.
I can do what I want. And then
That is such a British thing to call dressing up in a Nazi officer uniform an escapade.
I know. Now, I don't actually know if this is what was happening. I think the escapade thing was like 10 years ago, but we're going to assume it was I mean, that was probably added into the group escapades. So Charles is like, Harry, you have to grow up. Be like your big brother, William. Get married. Have a family. And Harry was like, don't tell me what to do, Dad. I'm my own person. Just because I'm the spare doesn't mean I'm less important than the heir. So then fate intervenes and he meets Meghan Markle. No fucking clue how, but they did. I think
I
they're
like
both
to imagine they both ran away from home.
I
They
think-
like bonded over their mutual hatred of the establishment of marriage, and then slowly grew to love each other.
I think they're both friends with Rihanna, so I think Rihanna introduced them. Let's go with that. So Harry asks Meghan on a date, and she's like, yeah, sure, let's do tomorrow night at this super cool jazzy restaurant that I like so much, because that's when I have a break in my filming schedule, because I'm an actress.
Okay, can I guess what happens next?
Yes.
Harry's like, cool. Then he realizes he doesn't have enough money for the date.
No.
He doesn't get paid till next week, and the date's tomorrow.
Oh, no. What will he do? No. So then she's waiting at the restaurant because Harry didn't pick her up. And she's just sitting there with a glass of wine, half empty, because he is at least 10 minutes late. And he shows up and he's all casual and he's like, hey, baby, sorry I'm late. And she's like angrily tapping her wine glass and she's like, it's fine. And then he recites poetry to her and she instantly gets wet and falls in love with him.
You almost made me spit out my Oreo.
All my cream.
So they have a very serious conversation. Meghan, Miss Beautiful Markle, breaks through that exterior to find the soft heart of the prince inside.
And all his money.
She confides in him. She was rich. She's an actress. She confides in him how difficult it was growing up biracial in America. And Harry says, I know what you mean. I'm a redhead in England. Then, date's over. Everything went well.
You can't drop this on me in the middle of eating an Oreo, Emily. Oh my God, I almost choked.
Oh, wait. He waits 3 days to call. The date is over, and he waits 3 days to call. And then
I thought you said 30.
No, 3. And then the lion appears again and puts his big old paw on Harry. And he's like, don't play games with this girl. This is serious. So he calls her. The lion
says that?
Yes.
Are you assuming this, or is this true?
I'm assuming that's what he says, but I know the lion appears.
Oh, my God.
So, Megan is hanging out in her movie trailer, or TV show trailer. I think she's a TV actress. And she's got this bitchy friend, Bella. And she's chit-chatting up about this relationship. And they're just, I don't know, having a good laugh at dating the prince. Then Harry, after listening to the lion, shows up in a grand romantic gesture to surprise her on set. And he goes into her trailer, and she's getting her hair and makeup done. And she's like, well, I have to go. They're calling me on set. And he's like, but I really want to see you. And she goes, well, how about you come in as an extra? And he goes, people can't recognize me. So they put him in a giant frog suit.
This didn't happen, did it?
The frog suit happened. So Harry's in, I think, an episode of Suits as a frog.
Fuck.
So then they start to get serious, and the paparazzi start
this is when they get serious.
The frog is very serious. So the paparazzi start hounding Meghan, and Harry saw his poor mother die because she was being chased by paparazzi. So Harry puts out a statement basically saying, Prince Harry understands that because he is royalty, he has to be in the public life, and even though he doesn't like it, he accepts it. However, he will not accept the paparazzi being shit sticks to Miss Meghan Markle just because they're dating. She is a wonderful human being. She doesn't deserve to be hounded by the paparazzi. Harry asks that they politely fuck off. So you think that's like real romantic, right? But then Meghan was like, you didn't need to write that statement. And they get into a fight. I don't know why, but they do. And then there's a moment where she's like, I don't know if I can do this relationship. It's just, I can't be in the eye quite like this, even though I'm an actress and I'm already in the eye. So then her mom, Doria, comes in, and her mom's like, he's a prince, turn your ass around and get back to it. So there's a dramatic airport scene. And I'm assuming Meghan was leaving the country to go back to America to finish the non-British edition of Suits. And Harry shows up at the scene, and he professes his love for her, and he apologizes, and he says, I'll never stick up for you against the paparazzi again. And then they have another fight about having children, possibly, and she's worried that she can't give them to him. And then they have another fight, and Harry tells her that she's just an actress, which, fuck you, Harry.
You're just a prince, you ginger fuck.
And then the lions appear again.
Oh my God.
And the lion says, Harry, you're being a shit stick.
Stop being
a
ginger.
Of your life. Stop being a ginger. She's the love of your life. So he goes and makes up to her, and they travel to somewhere exotic, and then they're banging, and he proposes to her in the middle of banging. And then they finish banging and they go home, and then he really proposes to her, not naked.
Dressed as a lion.
Dressed as a frog. And then the lion appears, and he reads the postscript of the movie saying they're getting married this Saturday, May 19th. Anne Boleyn's.
It was a roaring good time.
And their wedding is the anniversary of Anne Boleyn's execution. And that is what happened.
Let's pick a romantic day. So I sent you guys a link to a picture of what I believe is Prince Harry in a frog costume with Meghan Markle wearing a Hillary Clinton mask
It's not loading.
at it was a Halloween party that they went to.
Oh, well, then she was like, I'm going to a Halloween party. So, any of our listeners, if you watched the movie, let me know how much of that guy got right.
Were you going solely on the BuzzFeed article?
I was going solely on the BuzzFeed article and the gathered tweets about it. Yes.
Gotcha.
I think I probably got it right.
I mean, it just sounds like they're like, quick, we need an Avengers team of like everyone that wrote romantic comedies back in the 90s and just like assemble them into one like ultimate fighting force to make this stupid fucking movie about the royal wedding for Lifetime.
Do you want to know how long it took to write this script?
How long?
2 weeks.
Oh, duh.
Yeah.
They really had to work on that lion part.
It was the lion that tripped him up.
It sounded like they just made it through ad libs or Mad Libs.
No, that's how I made it up.
Prince Harry shows up in a we need an animal. We need a frog. Okay, a frog suit. And behind him there is I guess there's another animal. Okay, this one is just for animals.
Okay,
lion,
now
lion, frog, lion, frog.
Now I have to find. Now I have to find this actual show. It's probably going to replay again. I have to find it and actually watch it. I'm excited.
God. That would be the thing we do a commentary on.
No, we commentary on an episode of Tudors.
We'll do a separate one for the royal wedding.
Perfect.
Or we just watch the actual royal wedding.
You told me you refused to wake up at 4 a.m. to do that.
I still do. I stand by that statement.
Record it. It's not the same. And they're walking down the aisle. Okay, are you ready to actually talk Tudor?
Yeah, what the hell are we talking about today?
Today, we are talking about a lady who I did not know anything about, and her name is...
Meghan Markle.
Her name is Lady Arbella Stuart, and she was a potential Queen of England.
Go on.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so Arbella Stuart, I'm probably saying that wrong. Sorry, British people. Arbella Stuart has a very complicated line. So... Henry VIII had a sister, Margaret. Margaret married the King of Scots and gave him 2 sons, and then the king died. So Margaret then married a guy named Archibald Douglas. Together, they had a daughter who was also named Margaret. This is Margaret Douglas. Margaret Douglas did not have a happy life, FYI. Margaret Douglas married a guy named Matthew Stewart. They had a son named Charles Stewart, and he married a woman named Elizabeth Cavendish, and they had Arbella Stuart. So she was the great-great-granddaughter of Henry VII and the great-grandniece of Henry VIII.
Okay.
Okay.
I think I've got it.
Okay. So she's like the first cousin twice removed or something of Queen Elizabeth. So our Lady Arbella was born in 1575, and while she was an infant, her father died because everything sucked, and she was raised by her grandmother. Then when she was 7, her mother died, so she was doubly raised by her grandmother. She ended up becoming a ward of her other grandmother, Bess of Hardwicke, who's also a famous Tudor lady. She was also Bess of Hardwicke was also a badass businesswoman, and I'm assuming from her surname she had a podcast and a million talk shows, one called Talking Tudor that showed on AMC after the Tudors.
Thanks, Chris Hardwick.
Just a guess. So she occasionally visited court, and she may have been educated by Christopher Marlowe, the guy we talked about who wasn't Shakespeare. That's what I want written on my tombstone, not Shakespeare.
Wasn't Shakespeare.
So she was viewed as a candidate to succeed her cousin Elizabeth to the throne. When she'd first visited court, Elizabeth was like, this chick is pretty baller. Let's make her a queen. But then her super tight counselor, Cecil, was like, nah, let's go with the Scottish guy. So the reason that was kind of controversial is because Henry VIII's will said that, although this is doubly controversial, Henry VIII's will said that the children of his sister Margaret could not inherit the throne. Well, Margaret Tudor was the common ancestor of both James, the King of Scots, and Arbella Stuart. So, and Elizabeth and Mary had done a good job of executing his other sister's kids, so they were kind of only left at that line. So it really came down to which line gets more say. But Cecil convinced Elizabeth that it should go to the dude, probably because of sexism. So she studied several languages, knew the lute, knew something called the viol, which I think is like a violin, and then the virginals, which I think were like a piano or another version of the hurdy-gurdy, I'm sure.
That was the only instrument they had then.
She was proficient on the hurdy-gurdy. So in 1603, James I became the King of England. As a reminder, he was James VI of Scotland, but because England had never had a King James, he was James I of England. And then there was something called the main plot, and the plan was to overthrow James and put Arbella on the throne. And she was invited to participate by agreeing in writing to Philip of Spain, and she instantly was like, "Fuck that! I've seen too many people die, so no." And she handed over the invitation to the king so that she was safe, and everything was cool for her for a little while. So James was super grateful, and he named her godmother to one of his daughters, Princess Mary.
Mm-hmm.
You good?
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna be a short episode.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
That's why we had that royal wedding padding.
Yeah. So because she was a woman and being treated like a princess in those days, being meant being sold to another country in return for no war, she was involved in a lot of marriage negotiations. She was a lot of people wanted her to have a Catholic marriage, so she could have married into the House of Savoy. She was potentially going to be engaged to the eldest son of the Duke of Parma. And then the most interesting one was the Pope had a brother who was a cardinal. And, you know, cardinals can't marry. So the Pope was like, "I'll fix that. You're not a cardinal anymore. You're fired." So now marry her and then take over the throne, please.
He's much okay with that than just divorcing people.
Different Pope. But yeah, that didn't happen. So do you guys remember how we talk about the Seymour family a lot? Not the dog.
Yes.
Well, they fucking pop up again. And you remember how every time we talk about the Seymours, they're trying to make some sort of illegal marriage?
Those wacky Seymours.
Those wacky Seymours have done it again.
Seymour.
So later in Elizabeth's reign, there were rumors that Arbella was going to marry Edward Seymour, not the Edward Seymour from Jane Seymour's brother. He would have been old, and although that doesn't really restrict anything, but it wasn't that Edward.
Yeah, how's that stopped anybody from
Yeah,
that time
that's
period?
true. So she denied it, probably because she saw Elizabeth behead and imprison other women who got married without her permission. So she was very smart for a minute. The King of Poland popped in, and he was like, "I'll marry you." That didn't work out, though. And then another fucking Seymour happened. There's just one family in England, the Seymours. So this was William Seymour.
Hey, I'm looking for a Seymour asses.
Seymour asses.
Yeah, just Seymour asses.
So William Seymour was the grandson of Catherine Carey. She was the sister of Jane Grey. I'm sorry, not Catherine Carey, Catherine Grey. She was the sister of Jane Grey and therefore a grandson of Margaret Tudor and a great-grandson of Henry VII. Everybody's related in these days. Just it's the way it is.
The fact that everybody's related and everybody has the same name, like I'm pretty sure earlier you said that somebody named their child the same name as her, who then named her granddaughter the same as her.
Earlier in this episode,
I think so.
Margaret Douglas.
No, I was wrong. But people have the same name too many times, and I don't like it.
Yeah, they needed to write a baby book. So I often think about what I would do if I went back in the past. And honestly, I wouldn't invent shit that like made life easier. I'd be like, I'm going to invent peanut butter because I really want some. Or
You just bring a whole bunch with you.
I'm gonna make a baby name book, and it'll be the first of its kind, and that way we can stop having Margarets and Annes and Janes. Anyway, so William Seymour was in the picture, and there were more rumors that they were engaged. And for a little while, they denied those rumors, but then they totally secretly got married. And this was during the reign of King James. Well, James was pissed because they both had a royal connection, and you had to seek the king's approval before you could marry. So he imprisoned them, and love kind of sucked. So things quickly went downhill for Arbella. It was not a happy life. She was placed in Lambeth, which is a palace, and William was placed in the Tower of London. They were able to write to each other, but the king got pissed, so he had her sent to a different location. So while they were swapping locations, there was a delay, so they were able to plan their escape. So Arbella dressed up as a man and escaped to Kent, and William was supposed to meet her so that they could sail together to France.
And he dressed up as a woman.
But he was late, so she caught her ship, and he followed in the next ship. But King James already heard about all this, so he sent a ship after her, and as she could see the coastline of France, his ship overtook Arbella's, and they took her prisoner. And she was locked in the Tower of London. She got ill, refused to eat, and she died.
Oh.
And then because James was a dick, she wasn't given a royal burial. And that's Lady Arbella. I told you it'd be a short one.
It was pretty short, but you think people would have realized by now, just hey, these rulers, these kings, these queens, they're not fucking around when they say don't get married without my permission.
Yeah, they'd never figure that out.
Like, oh, he'll be okay
Well,
this
I
time.
just want to marry for love.
I'm
It's
sure they'll
okay.
understand.
Well, the funny thing is Margaret Douglas got in trouble for secretly marrying. Have we done an episode on Margaret Douglas?
Which one is she?
She's one of the ancestors of this person. She was the daughter of Henry VIII's sister from her second marriage. I don't think we have.
Don't think so. Not specifically
No, I don't think
her. I think
she
might
had
have been
another
brought up
secret
before.
marriage. Everybody's having secret marriages. They never end well, guys. Don't do it.
I mean, now it's cool. I mean, like, the president's not going to kill you.
Yeah. Well, since we have some time left, lots of time left, I actually have a couple of those topics that I always research and then I find out are like way too short. So, do you guys want to hear?
That's what we need to do. We just need to have like a trilogy of terror episode where it's like 3 short stories.
We might be able to do that with this
That was
one.
a very bad analogy. I'm sorry.
Well, it was terrifying living in that time. We might be able to do that with this one. So, do you guys want to hear about how inheritance worked back then?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so in the early Middle Ages, the brother always took precedence over the sons of dead kings. So Bob the King had
Bob, he was a good one.
Bob the King had 2 sons, and he had a brother named Ralph. Ralph would inherit.
King Ralph.
Ralph would inherit before Bob's sons did if Bob died. Got it? Actually, here's a real story. Richard I died, and his brother John became the king instead of Richard I's sons. It helped that John murdered his nephews, but he still became king. Got it?
Like, hey, you don't have to kill the kids. You get the throne. Wait, really?
Wish you told me earlier.
Ooh.
Shit.
He is shoving a bloody sword under the
I
bed.
wouldn't go into the tower.
Just saying. Maybe some kids in there.
So
They might be dead.
by the Tudor times, that changed, and children.
So I'm sorry. So if the king, so let's say a guy.
Bob.
Is this specifically for royalty or just noble?
Royal.
generally?
I'm only doing royalty.
Okay. So king dies. Let's say he doesn't have a brother. Has a sister, but he has sons.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about sisters. I don't know how it would work. We will talk about sisters during the Tudor times. I don't know how it worked in the early Middle Ages, though.
Okay.
Although I can tell you when when Empress Matilda tried to inherit the throne, her like a cousin or some shit who was a man ended up fighting her for it, and she's still not recognized as a queen of England. So I guess that's an indicator. So by the Tudor times, it had all changed, and the children, regardless of gender, would always inherit before the brother. So that's partially why during the Wars of the Roses, the Yorks claimed the inheritance of the crown. They were like, well, we take that inheritance from a woman, and so we get it before you do because it went to a brother. And that was all. So Salic law is a thing. It was an ancient, obsolete legal code from the 5th century, and it comes from the Salian Frankish kingdom. And it said men could inherit landed property, but women could only inherit personal property, so a necklace. But men could inherit the lands. So Scotland was semi-Salic, and male heirs from an unbroken line of males were preferred to females. So if there was a king and he had a daughter, but no sons, and then he had a brother, the brother would inherit before the daughter. Got it?
Okay, so...
And that was in Scotland.
Always to a dude before a girl.
In Scotland.
Okay.
If there was like if it was an unbroken line. So if a king had a son and a daughter, and the daughter got married to some random dude and had a son, and then the king's son inherited, but he only had a daughter, it would go to that last daughter before it went to the aunt's son. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It had to be an unbroken line.
Okay.
Okay. So in France, they followed Salic law, and that was that women couldn't inherit, except for some ancient gifted lands that could have a female inheritance. So that's part of why.
So they had to be grandmothered into that one.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why during when England was like, hey, we totally get the throne of France now, England was claiming the throne through a female line, but France didn't recognize a female line. So that's where that fight came from. So in 1515, when Louis XII died, he was the one married to Henry's much younger, hotter sister. His cousin's son became the king, and he became Francis. And they'd had the Duchy of Brittany within their control through a marriage. Well, the death meant that was no longer in their control, and it was a really wealthy land, so they wanted to keep it. So Louis's daughter, Claude, she inherited that land. So to keep that land, Francis married his cousin. Got it? It's all kinds of fuckery. So England recognized the female succession. And I mentioned Empress Matilda. She was the last female ruler before Mary I, and that was in the 1100s. So she went to war with her cousin Stephen. This is kind of a funny story. So her father was William the I believe it was William the Conqueror. And he had one living son who was older and a bunch of bastards, but the bastards couldn't inherit, and he had one son. So his father and the king and his son were out on boats doing something, and the son got hammered, like fucking wasted. And so he's like, I bet you that we could race the other ship. So they're all fucking trashed, and the ship hits a rock, and it goes down faster than the Titanic. William escapes on a rowboat, but then hears his bastard half-sister screaming for help, turns around, and his boat gets swamped, and he drowns. So Empress Matilda, she's called Empress because she married an emperor. She tried to claim it, but then her dick cousin Stephen was like, nah, no ladies. So they went to civil war for that. And I think that was brought up a lot whenever there was the fight about Henry trying to pass the kingdom on to a son. He was like, well, the last time a girl was in charge, she started a civil war. I like my Henry VIII voice.
That's what he sounded like?
That is exactly what he said. I found a voice recording from 1529. So there were many times where a female inheritance was a possibility, because if you think about it, there weren't any until Henry VIII's kids. So Richard III, he had a son who died. So his next option was his niece, but he declared his niece a bastard. So that was all up in the air. But then luckily Henry VII killed him. So he took the throne. So no ladies. But his sister, here we go. But Richard III's sister, Elizabeth de la Pole, was the Duchess of Suffolk, and she had sons. So Richard III named them his heirs. And one of them ended up dying with the Lambert-Simnel thing I told you guys about. But in the end, it didn't matter because Henry VIII stabbed him in the back and then in the head and then again.
You mean Henry VII?
That's what I meant. Henry VII.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I was confused for a second there. I'm like, what did,
Yeah.
what did
Henry VIII went back in
actually
time.
stab someone?
Anyway, that's how inheritance works.
Very confusing, but very enlightening.
I know. Now you know.
Do do do.
So TLDR, women get shafted
I think
more often than not.
I think that's the TLDR for history in general.
Yep.
God.
Women get shafted.
Hashtag woke.
Hashtag woke. Woke ass podcast. So that's it for this episode, and I'm sorry it wasn't as informative.
I mean, we got a double dose of info, and
You did.
we spiced it up by having two different things. So I
You
mean,
did.
this is an interesting new format, and I'd like to see where this goes, Emily.
I've been really bad lately about not figuring out what I'm going to talk about until the day of, so I'm going to try and work on that so you guys get some better episodes.
It's tough. We've got full-time jobs.
Yeah.
We get home, we're tired. We don't have time to go through the information mines to mine up some new data for you.
Sorry, guys. I'm just kidding. I really like doing this. It's been very difficult. Oh, hey, look, a list. That's funny. I just checked Twitter or Facebook, and there's a page that shared a list of Tudor boys' names and Tudor girls' names, and there are more than 4. Tudor boys' names.
I call bullshit.
Tudor boys' names. Abraham, Adam, Adrian. I don't think any of this is true.
whatever.
Alexander,
Fake.
Alan, Ambrose. I know that's one. Andrew, Anthony, Arthur, Avery, Barnaby, Bernard,
Barnaby Tudor.
Cuthbert. That's the best one.
Cuthbert's a good name.
Fulke. Fulke.
I think it's just someone throwing up.
Fulk.
Fulk.
Humphrey, Isaac, Jerome, Lancelot, Leonard. I bet you he was still made fun of for being a nerd. Oswin, Ralph, King Ralph, told ya. Tobias. Okay, girls' names: Agnes, Alice, Amy, and Audrey. I don't think Audrey's accurate. Avis. Isn't that a plant or a bug?
It sounds like a grandma.
Barbara, Beatrice, Blanche, Charity. Christian was a girl's name. Edith. Oh, fuck. I found the best one. Fridswide.
I'm sorry, what?
Fridswide.
Fridswide.
Fridswide. Fridswide, you're in so
Fridswide.
much trouble. Mabel. Thomasine. Maud. Parnell. That's it. We're going with Parnell. We're going to have a child named
Parnell.
Parnell.
Like Chris Parnell.
Yup. It's a historical name. Look it up.
This list is not accurate because I didn't hear you say Catherine.
Actually, I don't think the name Catherine's on it.
What?
Let me check it again.
They might be just listing off the ones
Oh,
you don't
no,
hear
it's
all
there.
the time.
Sorry. It's there.
I was gonna say.
Catherine, Jane. Mary, and Anne. Fridswide, though, that's a good one.
That's really good.
I like that. Well, anyway, that's it for this episode. We'll do better next time, guys.
No, we gotta treat this like it was just as good as one of the heavy hitters.
This
like,
was the best
I think there was good
fucking
stuff here.
episode. Find us on Facebook at Tutor I Hardly Know Her and on Twitter at Tutor Know Her. Send me episode recommendations. Both of tonight's topics, besides the Harry and Meghan one, were episode suggestions. So I feel bad because somebody did ask that we do an episode on the Warwick sisters. And I started to, but I just felt like it wasn't quite Tudor. So maybe in a one-off I can cover those girls, but we couldn't. I just couldn't do it tonight. And rate and review us.
Yeah.
And subscribe, because if there are issues again with our podcast, I'm pretty sure everybody who subscribes was still able to get it.
Yeah, we've been having weird problems, but...
Well, that was from our host, not us.
Okay.
So,
yeah, blame them, not us.
Yeah, I didn't do anything wrong.
You never do, Emily.
I know.
You never do.
But that's it, guys.
That was the Tudor Variety Hour.
It was their Tudor Variety Hour.
I kind of like the variety idea, though. It's like, this one bores me, but this one's interesting.
I've been wanting to do that. It's just that I didn't have enough topics to do a variety hour. It would have been like 2, and then we're done after 20 minutes.
I mean, 20 minutes for a topic seems...
No, I meant 20
we'll
minutes
figure
for
the
both.
logistics out.
I meant like 20 minutes for both.
Okay.
So,
well.
Oh, well.
Till next time.
Till next time.
Till next time.
Divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded,
beheaded,
survived.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. That's our show. It's over. Go home.
You're still here. Why here? Go home.